Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Madison. I make healthy living and lifestyle videos, and tonight I thought I would take you through a cozy bake with me video, and I'm gonna be trying out 3 different healthy Christmas recipes. I feel like Pinterest is chock full of tons of healthy recipes, healthy alternative recipes, Christmas treats that are actually healthy and good for you, but whether or not they actually taste good remains to be seen, and I'm gonna be the judge of that tonight. So we're gonna be making 3 different recipes. I'm gonna be taking you guys along with me, and all of these take under an hour. So if you are looking for like a Christmas treat to take to a gathering or maybe serve at your own Christmas dinner, I'm gonna try these out and let you know which ones are great and which ones you might wanna skip. So let's get right into it. So for this first recipe, I am making a vegan gingerbread cake. This one I had on my Pinterest for a long time and I've never had the chance to try it, so this felt like the perfect time to give it a go. I'm actually a huge fan of gingerbread. I love the flavor, I love the spiciness of it. So if you don't like gingerbread, like you may not like this recipe, but honestly it was very simple. The only sweetener is the banana, which I love that is like the main sweetener. So I added banana, molasses, vanilla, and I'm mixing that all together. And then I'm adding in my dry ingredients. For this one, I could not find cassava flour. That's what the recipe actually calls for. So I decided just to do some Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. This is like a 1-to-1 flour. So as you can see, I'm kind of eyeballing it here. I wasn't even being super precise and it still turned out really well. So I then added in my almond flour and I did have that. So I just kept that the same. But I think you could also, maybe just do all gluten-free flour. Maybe that would make it too dense. I don't know. I don't always do gluten-free. I do try when I can to find gluten-free recipes and things like that, but honestly, our family does a lot of bread most of the time. I make sourdough, I buy Dave's Killer Bread, things like that, so it's not like we're gluten-free all the time, but we actually do have a lot of family members, including both my sisters, who are gluten-free, so I do try to make gluten-free recipes when I can, especially for gatherings, because it just seems like more often than not, somebody needs a gluten-free option, and so it's really great when you can make something that's going to please everybody, but it's already gluten-free, so you don't have to make multiple items or something special just for that person. So after I added in all of my dry ingredients, I started mixing this, and I did get a little stressed because I was kind of eyeballing my ingredients and it was very thick, but it actually turns out this is exactly the consistency it's supposed to be. It's almost more like cookie dough than it is cake batter. If you know cake batter, it's normally very, very liquidy and it rises and the whole shebang, but this is more like a dough. So I ended up just kind of mixing it with my hands, and then I didn't have an 8x8 pan, so I just used I don't even know what shape this one is, but it was oven safe, so I just decided to put it in this one, and I just kind of formed it into about an 8x8 shape just so that it was the right size, so it wouldn't, it would bake evenly and it wouldn't be like too thin or too thick, and this turned out just fine. So again, this was a very foolproof recipe where I wasn't being super precise or anything like that, and it turned out just fine. So next I'm jumping into making my frosting. I definitely would recommend using actual coconut cream on this, or refrigerating or freezing your coconut milk ahead of time, because mine was at room temperature, so it was very liquidy, and so I did try to kind of make a cream, like a whipped cream. I tried whipping it. It just didn't really work. I popped it in the freezer for a little bit, and that did help thicken it up a little. Still tasted delicious, and I did use honey as the sweetener for this. It called for monk fruit sweetener, but I don't like monk fruit, so I decided to use honey instead, and it turned out just fine. It was really, really good. Okay, so the time has come to finally do a taste test. So this is the vegan gingerbread cake, and this was actually really easy to make. I did substitute the cassava flour for just gluten-free flour, so that may have altered my recipe a little bit, just because cassava flour I think is more similar to almond flour or coconut flour, but I couldn't find it in my grocery store, so decided to just do gluten-free flour. But you could definitely follow the recipe to a T with the cassava flour. And then the icing is coconut cream with a little bit of honey and I think vanilla. So I'm gonna give this a try. I also topped it with a little bit of cinnamon. It's really good. It's almost like the consistency of banana bread. And honestly, the consistency is perfect. It's so festive, it's so Christmassy. And it's crazy that banana is just the main sweetener in this. Yeah, there's no other sweeteners other than the banana. So it's just really like delicate and delicious, but doesn't have any extra sugar. So it's really sweet still, but not because of sugar, it's just because of the banana. And with the mix of like the cinnamon and the molasses, oh. I will say my icing was a little runny because my coconut milk was at room temperature. So there wasn't a whole lot of coconut cream. The coconut cream was pretty mixed in. So I tried like putting it in the freezer, everything like that, but it kind of warmed up, so you can see it's kind of runny. And honestly, it's runny all over, but it's still really, really good. So I'm just gonna pop this in the fridge. Honestly, this would be really great for breakfast too. I'm gonna make this, I think, for like Christmas brunch. So yummy. Honestly, you can see I can't stop eating it. So I think I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. Honestly, this was really easy to make too. So as far as like ease of making it, I think other than I wasn't able to find cassava flour, but again, I substituted just gluten-free flour. So, and that worked fine for the cassava flour. I did add almond flour as well, but I feel like the consistency is perfect, tastes delicious. I think this would be a big crowd pleaser, and you could take this to any event and no one would even know this is gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free. They would just be like, this is so delicious and festive. I will say I might add a little bit more ginger next time because I really like that like gingery gingerbread taste. So like maybe a little bit more ginger, a little bit more molasses maybe. For being fair, we'll just go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10. Next up, I am making some chickpea chocolate truffles. These are another ones that I've seen all over Pinterest before, but I've never actually made these, and I had no idea how easy these were. I don't know why I've ever bothered buying chocolates from the store when you can make these and they're so much healthier for you. I first started by just draining a can of chickpeas, and then I took my chocolate and melted it in the microwave. You could do it on a double boiler as well. This one you're just going to melt like normal. You don't need to add coconut oil or anything to it. We'll do that later when we actually do the coating, but this one you're just melting. I think it was, I don't know the exact measurements, but I'll leave all of the recipes below because these are not my recipes. These are other people's recipes, but I just melted my chocolate in the microwave, had my chickpeas drained, and then I just added everything to a food processor. So I have the chocolate, and then I added my chickpeas and some almond butter. So my almond butter was not sweetened, and my chocolate, I believe, is only sweetened. It might only be sweetened with like stevia or maybe not even that. I think it's the Enjoy Life chocolate, so I'm not exactly sure if it has sweetener in it or not. It's definitely on like the healthier side. So, but basically after you put everything in the food processor, it makes like a batter, and this you're going to basically scoop using a cookie scoop into little balls, and then you'll freeze those for like 10 minutes, and then that'll kind of make it like a hard dough. And then after that, you'll roll them into actual balls, and then you can just basically dip them in chocolate and top them with whatever you want and pop them in the freezer for another 10 minutes, and then they're ready to eat. So it was like such an easy process. You know, I'm kind of taking you through all the little steps here, but it was such an easy process for making these like beautiful looking chocolates. This would be such a good Christmas gift, like maybe if you're doing like a cookie exchange at work and you want to offer like a healthier option for people. I will say my food processor is garbage, and you can definitely see there were like bits of chickpea in mine, but that didn't bother me. But you will definitely want to make them really like smooth if you're making them for other people, especially someone who you're trying to fool into, you know, having these be, you know, like a dupe for a normal piece of chocolate. But man, I was very pleasantly surprised by how easy these were, and they turned out so cute. I haven't had my kids test these yet, but honestly, I could not tell the difference between these and like a piece of chocolate. Like, they are so incredibly good, so smooth, no hint of like chickpea or bean or anything. I just topped mine with some cacao nibs and coconut, but you could definitely top these with like peppermint or powdered sugar or something like that to make them even prettier. And like, again, you can make them as healthy or as not as you want, but they turned out so good. Okay, and finally we are trying the chickpea chocolate truffles. I topped mine with a little bit of coconut cacao nibs, but I also think you could do some crushed up candy cane and that would be really cute too. It just depends on how much like added sugar you want to use. So the coconut I use does have a little bit of added sugar, but the cacao nibs do not. So I think I'm gonna try the one with the cacao nibs just so we can keep this like 100% healthy. So let's give this one a try. Oh my gosh. These are insane. Like if you serve this to me at like a cafe or something, I literally would not know what to make with the chickpeas. I will say with these ones, my food processor is garbage. I definitely need a new one. So I do have like little bits of chunk of chickpea in here. That wouldn't bother me personally, but it may bother you. So I would just say make sure your chickpeas are completely like pureed first. In fact, you could do that separately, like before adding the other ingredients. Just mix your chickpeas and make sure they're completely blended, then adding your chocolate and your peanut butter. I used almond butter and they turned out so good. These are like crazy how good these are. It is so smooth and so decadent. Like you could definitely fool family with this one. Like I did vegan chocolate, vegan dark chocolate, cacao nibs, the chickpeas. It is so good. These are crazy. I'm gonna give these an 11 out of 10. Like for ease and how yummy they are. Oh my gosh, my husband is gonna love these. Okay, last but not least, I am trying out these healthiest Snicker bars. So these are made with medjool dates. I got the pre-pitted kind because you have to open each individual one and like lay them flat. So I got mine pre-pitted, but you also could just pit them yourselves, whichever is easier. But basically, you're going to lay all of your dates out open face on a piece of parchment paper in a lined dish, and then you're going to add another piece of parchment paper on top of it and kind of smash these down really good. I used a bowl. This did take a little bit of elbow grease, but this is going to make the base of the Snicker bar, and from there you're going to add just your peanut butter, your chocolate, and your chopped peanuts on top. I used the Enjoy Life chocolate again just to avoid additives and things like that. I added a little bit of coconut oil again to give that kind of like shine, that shiny chocolate look. So I took off the parchment paper to, again, add the chocolate and everything on top. This was a little time consuming and a little tedious, but again, I think it was still a very easy recipe, all things considered. I literally just drizzled my chocolate. I got a fresh jar of natural peanut butter. This is just peanuts and oil. And I just kind of drizzled that on top. So it was really liquidy and that made it very easy. So I definitely recommend that. And after that, I added my melted chocolate on top of that and then added the chopped peanuts on top of that. So overall, this was like so quick. You then just pop it in the freezer and let it freeze for like a few hours or overnight. I got mine out probably after like 30 minutes and it was still already starting to harden and tasted really great. So I had so much fun trying out all these different recipes. And one note I wanted to say about anytime you're trying to find healthy alternatives to things, I definitely think as moms we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves to care about every single thing our kids or our family eat and every single additive that's in something or whether or not it has a lot of sugar. And I think during the holidays there's a lot of pressure around that too, where it's either one or the other. You're either all in eating everything and having no self-control whatsoever, or you're not eating anything and stressing at every single event you're at. And I think there's definitely a balance where there are definitely parties I'm at and things I go to where I'm not worried about it at all. But then it's also fun to get in the kitchen and experiment and try to find a new family favorite that maybe has less sugar or is using a natural sweetener or is sweetened with banana. And who knows, it'll be something that, maybe we'll make for years to come, all because I decided to experiment and have a little fun in the kitchen. Okay, so the next one I'm gonna try is the date Snicker bar recipe. I will say these need a little bit longer to set, but I was too impatient to wait because these look so yummy. Snickers are one of my favorite candy bars, so let's give this one a try. I tried to find a piece that was like pretty solid. So it's really good. I will say these recommend like a flaky salt, which I definitely think you should include. I did not in mine because my peanuts were already salted a little bit, so I didn't want to have the extra salt, but I would recommend that just because I think that's what it's missing, is it's missing like that kind of like salty taste of a Snickers bar. I will say the chewiness is there with the dates. If you don't like dates though, I think like some people who don't like the taste of dates will not like this because you still can obviously taste the dates and it's not quite giving the same like that like a Snickers bar has. So I will say it's really good though, and I will definitely enjoy it. I feel like my husband will like this one too, even though he's not a big fan of dates. But I think if you have like pick your eaters in your family, or you're taking this to like a Friendsgiving or a friend's Christmas party, I feel like this one is not gonna be as big of a crowd pleaser. This one's more if you like really are looking for something healthy for you, but it is really good still. Like, I definitely think it's worth a shot. I'd give this one probably a 7 out of 10. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little bake with me. I love baking and trying different recipes, but it's also fun to try out some recipes that use different ingredients like alternative sugars or use banana for sweetener. It's just fun to kind of make those same, you know, things that we love, but try them out with like a little less sugar, a little less processed ingredients. And these are all definite crowd pleasers that I think would go great at any holiday party. So I hope you guys check them out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'd love to do more of these in the future. So hit that like button if you enjoyed it. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. It helps my channel so much and I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful for all of you who are already subscribed. Make sure you click that notification bell if you haven't already, because that will alert you every time I make a new video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.